Hello. I think I just want to do a little challenge. I think these are kind of fun and maybe it might give you ideas on how you can achieve something quickly. So the little challenge I'm giving myself now is I'm going to do a little fantasy village. I'll be using one texture to derive a lot of the houses, and I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. But I do want some sort of like stylized bend to some of the houses without getting too heavy on the geo. Alright, so let's begin. I've kind of like set myself up a little bit here just so that I don't get too bogged down with the workflow. But basically what I have is just I flatten this cube out, and I have another cube here with a texture assigned, and the texture itself is a basic house flat on facade. And just to take a look at that, we can go to the image editor and bring it up. And so this is what it looks like. So with this cube, I'll just be like copying and like pasting some of these elements here and just trying to get something done pretty fast. Alright, so let's begin. Let's go to this here, and since I already have this assigned, you kind of see what's happening. I'm just going to, let's just build something quickly here. And now I'm not really thinking too much about like what the shape of the house is. I might just like use the textures to inform how the shape should look like. So this looks like it could be something pretty fast here. I haven't actually really thought about what I can add here, but let's just go to let's see what the UV looks like here. So it's going to go to UV editor, and it looks like that. Okay. So what I might end up doing is just doing a smart UV unwrap, and then we have all this stuff here. So now I can just click on this stuff and kind of like move them around, scale them up a bit, and just trying to get like just something down, like some visual noise. Maybe you want like a window on the side here. I'm not really thinking too much about the structure of the house. I'm just thinking about what I want down, just something to react to. The actual thing I am thinking about is like just the scale of this, because like, this looks too big, so I just want like maybe the first floor like that. So we have something kind of interesting here already. What else can we do to expand this? Well, I can go inside my default cube and do a little cut, maybe here, and then I'm gonna like make this wood pop out a bit. There isn't anything back here, so we can just select this edge, and that should be good. Alt-E, extrude along normals, and just like make that pop out slightly. Now those textures are stretching a little bit, but I'm not too concerned about that right now. I kind of want the window to be pushed in a little bit, and I'm just going to hit K for the knife tool, and I'm just going to cut the window. Now there's wonderful people who show this technique a lot. One of them is Ian Hubert. He uses a lot of this cutting method, and now this is great for concepting, but if you aren't actually in a production, in like the animation industry, and you are wanting to do this stuff, it may not work. It may work in like just having static things in the background that don't need animation or deformation. And so yeah, if you are wanting to be a proper modeler, there are proper methodologies to go around doing this with proper topologies, and I highly recommend doing those tutorials. Alright, so we're just having this like very, very basic thing going on here. Just gonna cut a little square here, and then this is not really wanting to play nice. There we go. I'm gonna cut this over here like this. It's just basically a lot of cutting. So this is good enough for my purpose right now, just for a little window. There we go. And we're gonna extrude this along normals and push this in, just to create some depth. Alright, this looks pretty good. Now what can we do with the top here? Whoops. Going a little too fast. Let's get out of this, and alright. We can extrude this up slightly. We can do a cut like this and just bring this up like that. And then we can enter into the face here, which you can see is a little funky because of all our cuts. Cut that. Again, this is just purely for concepting and references. And if you're versed in proper topology, you're probably screaming right now. But for anyone who's starting modeling, and you're using this as references for your 2D drawings, by all means, there really isn't much rules. If you're just trying to get like a quick reference down, it's completely fine to do it this way. So we're just going to look at this and project from view. Where are you? There you are. And maybe, yeah, let's just do that. Alright, so we have this. Probably want to change this out a bit. Let's maybe find something interesting like that. And let's change this. Oops, where are you? Face. Can probably just select that and let's just move it here. Okay, cool. But now you see it's kind of shiny and I don't really like that. How can we change that? Well, we can still use this same texture if we want to optimize it, convert it to a black and white image and use that to drive a roughness. That's a lot, right? So we're going to create a color ramp, plug this into here, which essentially renders this black and white, as you can see here. And this can be used as a mask for a roughness or specular. So if I plug this here, you can see it's kind of shiny, but if I plug this, let's say, into the roughness, you kind of see it's shiny in some bits, on the darker bits. So we can play around with this to really kind of get something interesting. We can also flip this around to show you what it looks like. And that looks kind of good. I like that. Alright, that's what we need for here. We could derive a bump map out of this. It won't be as good, but just to show you what you can end up doing with a single texture, you can throw a bump map on and, whoops, let's just add a color ramp. And what a bump map is just like a very basic normal map. It only does height. So we can essentially convert this into a height. So we put this, plug this color into a height, because this takes in a black and white image, plug this into a normal. And we can kind of see it's really bumpy. Of course, we can tone this down and a little bit like that. And it's kind of like dotted. That's because of this texture here that I found online. Alright. So what else can we do? Well, we can maybe have a little ridge here coming down. Alright. And let's extrude along normals and just do that. Okay. So we have all of this. Let's say if we wanted to create... Here's another challenge. Each time I duplicate this house, we wanted to slightly change color and maybe value, but only within the plaster of the areas, the kind of beige looking bits. We want the wood to be kept the same. Is that possible? Let's give it a go. Again, we're going to use the same texture. I'm going to use a black and white image. I'm going to use this. Bring this over here. And we're going to take a look at this. So we only want the white. So can we crank this all the way up and try to keep the white there? This might be our best bet. Like that. Okay. So I'm going to use this as a mask. I'm going to plug that into mix RGB into the factor. So if we plug this in, this is what it looks like. But you can see here, do this, and now I change this. This is what's going to be changing the color. This is just a little test here, because what we're going to actually do is use a hue saturation. And the factor we're going to be using is this, and the color, we're going to plug it over here. So from here to here, from here to base color. What does this look like? Like that. And now if we change the hue, you can kind of see it's changing ever so slightly. We can probably do a little bit better than that. Let's see. We're nearly... I kind of want some discoloration like that because it's kind of appealing to me. But there we go. So now we want this... Every time we duplicate this house, we want it to slightly change color. Well, we can use an object info, and we can use a random. We can plug that into hue. And now, you can see every time we duplicate it, it's a completely different house. We can definitely control and fine tune it, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm kind of fine with this. And let's just try and make everything a little bit neater here. I don't know why my curves, my nodes are straight. I probably reset it somehow. Okay, so we have our first step done. This is make this larger, and I'm just gonna make the process a bit faster by using this Material Leak library. And let's just use, let's see here, natural ground, and I'm fine with grass. Okay, so it's gonna summon it in here, and we're gonna see grass soon. Building compiler here, compiling it here, and let's see. There we go. Okay, fantastic. So we have this one house. Let's put it over here. And if we Alt D, that's just creating a linked instance. You can see here that when we change one thing, it changes everything. But the colors are changing, which is fantastic. So what I can end up doing is just doing a bunch of duplicates that way, or I could actually put this into its own collection, house, and click on this and create an instance of hair particles and convert the hair particles into the object of the house. So let's do that. So we're going to go into, we're going to click on the plane, click on the particles, go to hair. You can see this weird stuff popping up, completely fine. We actually might just use this and select that and delete all that because we just want the hair. Excellent. We're going to go into render. We can change this into object, or we can also choose collection. That's completely fine. And we can choose house. Now all the houses are here. And you can see all the different colors, but it's facing the weird way. Well, our origin point's here, and we gotta put it down here, so we'll just do that quickly. So we're gonna tab into edit mode, click on the two faces, Shift S, snap selection to, snap cursor to selected, Control Shift Alt C, origin to 3D cursor. We'll do that out here, origin to 3D cursor. So that's the spawn point right there. Now why is this facing down? Well, it's because of the way it's rotating. We can access that through advanced rotation. We can see here, well, let's try normal tangent. I usually just go down these until something clicks. Global, that doesn't work. Hey, there we go. That's looking really nice. We can also randomize the way it turns, the phase of this, but there's something cool I recently found out. And in the physics tab, we can change this to Boids, and it kind of acts a little interesting with all these different shapes. And what we can end up doing too is kind of using a force field modifier or force modifiers like wind to really affect the shape here. So if I hit regrow, Shift A, and let's add in, let's take a look here. We should add in force field, and we could do force. And now you can see what happens when I move this force around. It's kind of acting a little funky. And if I go into here, where's the properties here, this circular thing, physics properties, look what happens when you change the strength. So this is what people end up doing when they want like grass to be treaded on. They use this kind of technique. It looks super cool and funky. Look at that. All praise that. Well, that's what Boids is acting like right now, but what happens if we go back to Newtonian? I don't think it will react to it to like the same scale. Alright. So we'll just keep it, that was off a tangent there. But let's randomize this slightly. Oh. Randomize phase? No, we kind of want to randomize it. Object Z, Y, rotate, no. This is rotate. I kind of want to like, It's a little too many houses for my liking here. Okay, fantastic. We're going to go into, where is it? There is a scale setting. Here we go. So we can change the scale of the houses like this, and we can change the randomization. And there we have our houses. But we kind of want to make it look more believable, at least. So let's see what we can end up doing here. I feel like this is what I want, but the house itself is not really. I feel like the reason is because of the way this is presented. Let's take a look if we can find the right. Do we have to lay it flat? -90? So that looks like we're getting somewhere. And then we have to plug it here. There we go. And now, if we rotate it, no. Okay, randomized phase. There we go. This is what I was looking for. A little weird series of events. Fantastic. Okay, so we have our little village here already. Now, I talked about having really interesting, different shaped objects. Well, we can achieve that using a lattice tool. And what we can end up doing is like duplicating these houses to create more variation. So watch what happens when I duplicate this and move it. And you can see like it takes form of some of this other stuff. So we're kind of like free form in terms of adding things to our particle collection. It'll just keep adding to our little village here. So let's add a lattice to contort the shape of this house to get something a little bit more interesting. So let us go to Snap, cursor to selected, Shift A, and we're going to add a lattice. And let's scale this up and make it engulf this whole house. We're going to go to the lattice properties here, or object data properties, and we're just going to add a bit more slices here, like points of control. This to me looks like it's good enough. We're going to go back to the house, and we have to add a modifier and tell it like, hey, I want you to use this lattice. So we're going to go here and let's see where the lattice is, right here, and we're going to select our lattice. And now, if we click this on the lattice itself, tab, we can contort it and change it and scale it and just do anything we want with this. So I'm going to hit O, which enables this kind of like fall off selection, and use my scroll wheel. And now I can like change it, like scale it, move it up, scale it down, rotate it. Just really have fun with the look of this house here. You can see it's really changing it dramatically, a little bit more cartoony, which is really appealing to me. So we have that. That's fine with me. We can click on the house, click on this, Shift D, drag it on, and this is a new house here. And now I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm, again, just using really fast iterations of this because I'm not really thinking too much of the overall look of the village. I just want something down that I can react to. And that's something important too, because I find that's when I start slowing down, is when I really have to think about how things are. And by all means, if that's something that you're comfortable with doing, do it that way. For me, I really need like something on the page. Like I just throw paint on. When I was in fine arts, it's like just sometimes you just gotta throw paint on the canvas and just start reacting to it, and that's how my brain likes things. I'm very reactive in terms of like looking at things. Alright, so we have really funky shapes. We can actually go into some of these other houses. You see what happens when we tab in? And what happens if we just duplicate this? Oops, hit O. I've created another house here. And just like, I don't know, bring it down. Scale this this way. And maybe rotate it slightly. And then let's do another one. And let's scale it down and move it here. We scale it forward. That looks cool. Okay, we can do some more houses too. Do this, and let's say all around here we'll extrude along normals. We'll click on this OGZ, and then oops, or GY. Scale this a bit higher, and we can go on and on and on as long as we need to. Look at that, we already have a really interesting looking village going on. Well, cool thing is we can apply some sort of distortion on the plane here itself to get some cool variety. So let's try that out. Let's go to the modifiers. We already have the particles here, so we're going to add a subdivision surface. I'm going to use simple, and I'm going to do, let's do 4, drag it up because we want the particles underneath that, and we're going to add a displace modifier. And we're going to bring that up, hit new, let's go into the textures, and let's find something to modulate this with. So we have clouds, which looks like it's not really... Whoa, that's so funky. That's kind of cool. Shade smooth. Alright, looks like our houses are not playing nice now. Let's see what else we can do. We can change the height. I just wanted a little bit of deformation on the houses itself. So, what do I actually have to turn this up? Why is this not playing nice now? Oh, the random phase. Nope, that's fine. Global tangent. Object global Z. Or do we lose? Oh no, we still have that. Okay, so we just want it always facing up. The problem with this one now, though, it's like it'll always be straight up no matter what. It won't contort to the normal of this, and I'm guessing it's because I lay these on its side. So if I, whoops, select these, tab in, rotate them? Yeah, you can see they're acting the way we want it to. If we do it like this. And reverse. 0, 0. Hey, we got them. Okay, and the reason why they're popping out is because the origin point is here. Origin to 3D, origin to 3D, origin to 3D, origin to 3D. And now it's doing what we wanted. Let's see what it looks like with lighting. And let's find our light source. Okay. So let's do black. It can be Mystical Village. And spooky. Add a cube. And we'll create volumetrics. I'm gonna go to Object, New, delete this, and with this here we're going to add a principled volume, plot that in there. You can see we have our little shadow, not shadow, fog, and we're going to do the density really small, 0.02, so it's just kind of kissing it there. And we can also be kind of fancy and add, let's say, a noise texture. We can do a color ramp. I'm going pretty fast, that's okay. And we're going to see what this looks like. And let's cut this out here, because this is very specific. We want it like that. We want spots of black all around. And we'll put that back into volume, delete this, and now you can see what's happening here. We have like a 3D representation of the noise texture, but as a volumetric. So we can add a little bit of clouds here, a little bit of distortion. We can make this a little bit thicker. You can see what's happening here. And we can kind of get rid of this point light, or we can change it to an area light. We can really get creative with our lighting scenario now. So we can move this. Maybe we can add a little bit of green. Perhaps this village is cursed. Like that. Copy this over, and let's maybe have a complementary color. A little bit higher like that, and we can rotate this. Let's see. Maybe blue. Let's go an analogous color scheme. That looks good from far away. Bring this down like this. Bring it up. That's really nice. And let's hide this. And you can kind of see what we've created already. This looks great. I mean, like, even with a basic structure of the cubes, slapping on some basic textures, some modulation, and volumetric lighting, I think we created something super stylized here. And what else we can do now is, since we have a particle effect generating from this house, we can add more things into the house collection. So let's say if I wanted little lights, I don't know, just wanted to see what it looked like. Shift A, cube, and now the cube's going to be populated everywhere. And I'm just going to create a new emission material, and you might see it populate. Same mission. You can see it being populated everywhere. Let's make this a little bit spooky color. And there you go. And we can actually also add a bloom just to make it a little bit more interesting. And we can do it a little bit smaller. And there we go. Look at that. Just with simple little objects. And let's put the cloud source that way. And here we are. Wonderful. The cool thing now, I just want to show you guys. Let's just make this a little bit larger so you can see what's happening here. Is that since it is a particle box or a particle plane that we've put objects on, we have the ability to quickly iterate different looks. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I go here into the particle properties, you see the seed value. If I change it, it completely changes the outlook of everything. So there might be something you don't like, you're like, oh, I just want to see different iterations. Just rotate this or like increase and lower it, and eventually you get something different each time. You can also change the number of stuff. So let's say you just want, you know, a smaller village, looks like this, and you keep increasing this. Now we're really densely populated. Like, look at this, super dense. We can also play around with the scale, so to make it a bit more dramatic. There you go. And let's play with the seed. I really like it when it's like the light is housing. Oh, there you go. Kind of like that. And now, of course, like you can start adding onto your model. You can start adding better geometry. But as I mentioned, I like seeing things to its completion, to a big picture. And then afterwards, I'll start iterating each thing. Because I've done most of the legwork now, I don't have to worry about setting things up. I can see things as a whole. Because sometimes you might get too focused on, let's say, a single asset. Like, I need to make this perfect, and I have to like make this house look just right. But then you might have it so detailed that when the main purpose of it was for this whole giant picture, it might just be too noisy. And so that might be used as a prop, or sorry, as a main location. Sometimes you really don't need complicated models. Like I think a lot of you who are watching this can do like a very basic house and slap textures on. And I want to give you tools where you can experiment and have fun and start realizing your thoughts and ideas. Because I think that's the most important thing. It's like the big picture and the concepts that you have. Alright, look at that. It's cool. Bye-bye.